Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's well. So guys, the dust has settled, everything has calmed down, and the hate that I've been seeing on Facebook after the fight is, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I always expected if Canelo lost that he would get this type of hate, but I think the reason why a lot of these people aren't going over they are going over the top. They're absolutely rinsing Canelo, but I think it probably pains them the fact that it came from a guy that beat Canelo, that was a guy that they've been ridiculing, the guys, the background that they've been ridiculing Europeans, saying Europeans, Canelo's been fighting Europeans and they can't fight, blah de blah de blah. And if Canelo had beaten Bivol, they would have said exactly the same thing. Oh well, he just beat another European, he's avoiding Americans. So they're upset in a way that it wasn't fighters that they support that beat Canelo, but on the other hand, they're also loving the fact that Canelo was beaten. Look, Canelo got beaten by a better man on the night. Bivol was too good. He was too fast. He had a great defense. He was too big. He used his height, his reach to his advantage. And people, look. At the end of the day, he got beat by the better man. There's no shame in that. He went up to light heavyweight, and the guy was too good for him on the night. The haters they're loving it. They're absolutely loving it. They're getting a joy out of it. You know, Christian said to me, Imran, you're a little bit of a fanboy. You want, the Canelo losing is great for the sport of boxing. For me, how is it good for the sport of boxing look, it's good for the sport of boxing in the sense that what it shows is that it doesn't matter who you are, you can lose in boxing. Doesn't matter how great you are, how big you are, you can lose. And that gives other fighters now, when they go in the ring with Canelo, confidence that he's been beaten, he can be beat. Because Canelo was on an unbeaten streak for almost a decade now. So, it gives fighters a confidence and gives fighters confidence that we can beat him. So it's good for the sport in that way. But let's be honest, the sport of boxing doesn't have many stars, right? Canelo getting beaten, all of a sudden, Dmitry Bivol doesn't just take all of Canelo's powers and Dmitry Bivol becomes a pay-per-view star. Dmitry Bivol is still Dmitry Bivol. So in that sense, we don't have many superstars in the sport of boxing. Very few fighters that can put on big pay-per-view events, big fights. Canelo's one of them. If Canelo starts losing, then the strength of the sport decreases because we don't have many stars. The American fighters, they're no stars. They don't do over 200,000 pay-per-view buys. Nobody cares for their fights. Unfortunately, that's just what it is. I'm telling you what it actually is. There's no pay-per-view buys. There's no big stars out there. Bivol's not going to do huge numbers in America. So for the strength of the sport, it's not good. But it's good for the balance of the sport because for me, if you beat a guy, you deserve it. And I'm so glad that Bivol, got the decision and they didn't rob him or they didn't try to take it away from him. Because at the end of the day, Bivol won that fight and he deserved it. And also, Claude made a beautiful point that it's not good for Canelo Alvarez's legacy. If Canelo keeps getting these decisions that are controversial, it's not good for Canelo's legacy either. It's not good for Canelo's legacy to get these shady decisions. So I'm so glad that Bivol got the decision. However, at the same time, the reaction that I'm getting, the reaction after the fight and Canelo getting so much hate and people putting Canelo down, I'm so fired up now to see Canelo come back. I'm so fired up to see Canelo come back and react and wherever option he takes, whether it goes down fighting Bivol again or whether it goes down Andre, I want Canelo to come back with a vengeance and show everybody how good he really is. Because a lot of people are now calling him, Canelo's gone from being a great to being a bum. That's how bad it is. And that's just boxing, man. These boxing fans, because one thing about boxing fans, there's a lot of people pushing agendas, man. There's a lot of people pushing agendas out here. There's a lot of people that are pushing agendas out here, man. Give someone credit when they're good. Just give them credit. That's all I say. Give somebody credit when they're good. That's all you got to do. It's not hard to give people credit when they're good at something. I just feel like some of these people just find it so difficult to give somebody credit. It's embarrassing. Give a guy credit when he's good, man. There's no shame when a guy's good. Give him his credit. Stop pushing stop pushing narratives in boxing or in sport. And same with Mexican fans. You know, give Floyd his credit. Give you know like, come on, man. I hate this rubbish in boxing. Like, it's just all narrative based. All boxing is so narrative based that where people they it's all race based, man. All fans that, like, no one looks at boxing. Everyone favors their own, rather than, like, one of my favorite fighters was Marcus Maidana. Like, he was from Argentina. Like, Marcus Maidana wasn't like the greatest fighter of all time or anything, but Marcus Maidana was a beautiful fighter, like, in to watch. Like, in terms of, he was always exciting. He didn't have a red carpet. He didn't have a golden red carpet. You know, he had to come from hardships. He was the B-side in many of his big fights. You know, but he came, he put it on the line. He was a warrior. He had a heart. You know, he made for exciting fights. You know, people say, oh, well, you know, people like certain styles. Like Christian says, well, the African-American style, the slickness, and he likes that style, fair enough. But don't disrespect other styles. Just because somebody doesn't have that particular style, that doesn't mean that they can't be great in the other style that they have. You know, that there's not just one style in boxing. There's many styles that have been effective. Roberto Duran didn't have a slick style. He's one of the greatest fighters of all time. You know, there's many fighters. Gennady Golovkin, a great fighter. He doesn't have a slick style. You know, Marvin Hagler, he didn't have a slick style. He was a monster of a man. He was a monster of a man. So in that case, then, we'll say Andrade would beat Hagler just because he has a slick style. No chance. Hagler would absolutely maul Demetrius Andrade. Do you know what I mean? But like people make out like this slick style, you know. So what? If you like that particular style, that doesn't mean that guy's gonna beat everybody just because he's got that particular style. There's many styles, you know, that are great to watch, not just that particular style. You know, Canelo got beaten by a beautiful boxer in Dmitry Bivol. He got beaten by a beautiful boxer. You know, Dmitry Bivol's a great fighter, a European fighter, special fighter. 20 fights in, he beats the pound for pound king. You know, Roy Jones apparently said that, you know, Canelo Alvarez should stay away from Dmitry Bivol. That style is horrible. A lot of people are now saying Canelo Alvarez should stay away from Dmitry Bivol. But Canelo Alvarez is going to go straight to Dmitry Bivol because that's Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez is a warrior. He's not gonna shy away from another rematch. He may get beat again, but he's not going to shy away. We should be respecting him fighting Dmitry Bivol, not hating on him, giving him the credit for fighting a guy that is a really top fighter. We should respect that. We should give him credit for that. Not slate him. Not take the mick out of him because he lost. Because he tried to fight somebody that was... You know, people putting bet slips up and saying, look, how can Canelo Alvarez dare to be great when he was such a massive... He was a massive favorite on reputation because of what he had done in the sport. And the fact that Dmitry Bivol was inexperienced. Nobody looked into Dmitry Bivol's amateur record. Nobody looked into Dmitry Bivol's skill set. Nobody watched him fight. And most importantly, people were neglecting the size. People thought Canelo could go up to heavyweight and beat Usyk, which is absurd. That's how much people started putting Canelo on a pedestal. They started thinking Canelo was unbeatable. He himself thought he was unbeatable. He himself thought that he couldn't be beaten. So this is the point I'm trying to make, that boxing fans need to respect fighters that get in the ring and fight. Just because he's not fighting your favorite fighter, that doesn't mean he's rubbish. That doesn't, just because you're not happy because he's not fighting the guy that you want to see, that's pushing narratives. Like, you see me come on here, right? And I'll be fair about every fighter. I'll say how it is about every fighter. Look, I said that I believe Andrade beats Billy Joe. That's just what I feel. A lot of Canelo fans say Saunders beats Andrade. And a reason why they say that is because Canelo beats Saunders. So they try to push, but I don't feel that way. Yeah, I'm a Canelo fan. I feel Andrade would have beaten Saunders. Because I don't push any narratives. I just say what I feel. I think Canelo beats Andrade comfortably. That's what I feel. Not because I'm a Canelo fan. Look, I don't think Canelo beats Dmitry Bivol in the rematch. I'm being brutally honest. I think Bivol wins. Because that's what I feel. After watching what I saw, I don't think Canelo wins that fight. I don't think Canelo wins that fight. How easy it was for Bivol in there. I don't see what Canelo can do. And yeah, I want to see Canelo win that fight, but I don't think he will. So this is the point I'm trying to make, is that people out here need to give Canelo credit. You know, I saw videos, people sent me videos of channels. I don't really like to take names, and saying Canelo Alvarez has been exposed, and now, you know, he fought a European cherry and that cherry bit back, you know. But these people are calling Dmitry Bivol a cherry. When was Dmitry Bivol ever a cherry? Billy Joe Saunders is a cherry. Callum Smith is a cherry. Caleb Plant is a cherry. Yet a lot of these guys were saying Caleb Plant could beat Canelo, but yet he was a cherry because Canelo beat him. You know, how many of these fighters fight cherries? And yet they don't even look good against those cherries. They don't even fight cherries. They fight potatoes. You know? They literally, come on, man. Some of these guys fight nobodies. You look at Andrade's last couple of fights. Look at you know, Charlo's last couple of fights. Now compare it to Canelo's last couple of fights. Billy Joe's way better than anyone that Andrade's fought. If I'm not mistaken, when Andrade was gonna fight Billy Joe, people were saying that was gonna be his biggest fight. That was Andrade's biggest fight to date. Billy Joe would be Charlo's biggest fight to date. So this is what I'm trying to say. And Canelo just dismantled Billy Joe. Caleb Plant would be Andrade's biggest fight. Caleb Plant would be Charlo's biggest fight. So the point I'm trying to make is Canelo beat all of those guys in the space of 8-9 months. Then he went straight to Bivol and tried to win a light heavyweight title. Canelo didn't fight Dmitry Bivol because he thought it was a cherry. Canelo thought he'd win, but he knew Dmitry Bivol would be a tough fight. He knew it would be hard. It wasn't him fighting because he thought he was crap. Like, come on, man. Anyone that knows the sport of boxing, Canelo's been around the sport of boxing. You think his people wouldn't have studied Bivol and known he was a good fighter? Maybe they underestimate him slightly, but they always knew he would be a good fighter. Come on, man. Look at that guy's amateur experience. Look how experienced the guy is. You honestly think he's going to be poor? Come on, man. You know, these guys, man, these guys just look to push narratives and try to put people down. Guys that have achieved so much in the game, like Canelo, you know, fighting the best after the best after the best. And just because he's not fighting guys that they want to see him fight, you know. And listen, man, I want to see Canelo fight Jamal Charlo, Andrade. Like, why didn't he take the PBC offer? It's irritated me now that he didn't take the PBC offer, because he would have fought Benavidez and Charlo and battered them, instead of fighting this dangerous light heavyweight. He didn't need to. I wish he did take the PBC offer. And to be honest, for me, it would have been good anyway. I wanted him to take the PBC offer. Easier fights, bigger, probably as same payday. And then all that narrative about him ducking those fighters would have been all shut. Because he would have beaten both. But instead, he took a dangerous task and Bivol got beat. Like, personally, I think Canelo should stay away. I don't think Canelo will. I just think he should stay away from Bivol. I want to see him go and fight. I don't know what the contractual situation, because I know Eddie Hearn's got him locked for 3 fights. I don't know what the situation is, but I would love to see if he could go and fight Charlo and Benavidez. You know, for me, he should have taken that deal, man. I really look back at it and think Canelo should have taken that deal with the PBC, because he would have battered those guys, man. He would have beaten those guys. I'm telling you, he would have beaten those guys. Bivol was just a really, really good fighter. He's just a really, really good boxer. And Canelo, he was too big for Canelo. Too big and too skilled. He was so skilled. He used his height, reach, everything to his advantage. I really wish that Canelo took the PBC offer. It would have been so much better for him. So much better for him to take the PBC to take the PBC offer. This guy was just too good, man. And I think he'll be too good in the rematch. I can't see Canelo beating Dmitry Bivol. I'm being really honest. I think you should stay away. I really want him to go and take the PBC offer, man, and fight Charlo and fight Benavidez. It'd be good for him to go and take that offer. You know, I think he might be regretting it himself, but that's just what it is. You know, you can't go back. You can't change your decision. You made what he did. You can't go back in time. He did what he did, but you know, the disrespect that he's receiving now is like, in my opinion, he fought a guy that's is probably going to be, you know, depending on if he can get the right competition in the ring with him, Dmitry Bivol might go down as he might be a future Hall of Famer, you know, depending how his career pans out. You know, the way he beat Canelo was so impressive to me that this guy looks special, man. He looks special, and he may be a very, 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 very tough fight for anybody that steps in the ring with him. You know, who knows? He may even go to cruiserweight. You know, but we'll have to wait and see. Really impressed with his performance. But let me know, guys. Let me know what you think. What do you guys think? Do you think Canelo Alvarez should stay away from Dmitry Bivol? Leave your thoughts and let me know what you think in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.